So without further ado, I'd like to introduce America's next Attorney General, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mike Davis.
Thanks for having me, Jack.
Mike, so walk us through, what is this controversy that you're in right now? Why is Mehdi Hasan going after you? And tell us the cages that the children will be in. Let's remind everybody, these will be temporary cages because the families and all of them will be sent back very quickly. Isn't that right?
Well, I hope so. They're going to be deported very fast. But we're going to use the same cages that President Obama and President Biden used and are using. But I would say this, what I've been doing over the last many months, Jack, as you're well aware, is the greatest troll of all time. And it's to say that Trump's going to appoint me as his acting attorney general, which is not even legally possible. And during my 3-week reign of terror as Trump's acting attorney general, I have created 5, now 6 lists: fire, indict, deport, detain, pardon, and now the 6th list is to denaturalize naturalized American citizens who support Hamas and other terrorist organizations. And the point of doing this hysterical, hyperbolic rhetoric, is to show the left that their lawfare, that their election interference is very destructive to this country. They've been running this since the Obama administration for 7-8 years now, but it's really gotten bad over the last several years, where we've seen the Democrats brought 2 impeachment against President Trump for nonsense. They indicted President Trump for the first time in American history for non-crimes. They're bringing a civil fraud lawsuit in New York to bankrupt his business for the non-fraud of a businessman paying back sophisticated Wall Street banks on time as agreed in full with interest. And that all didn't work. That backfired. We made sure at the Article 3 project over the last 16 months that was going to backfire on the Democrats with our more than 2,000 media hits and opinion pieces and constant social media battling and digital ads and everything else that we've done. That's backfired. So now what they're going to do, and we're going to get a ruling today, they've gagged him twice illegally, unconstitutionally, so bad that the ACLU has weighed in and said, whoa, wait, you may have gone too far here. If you lose the ACLU, that shows you how radical you are. So today, Democrats are going to get a ruling out of a biased Denver District Court Judge, Sarah Wallace, who donated to an anti-Trump January 6th PAC to chase Republicans out of office. Somehow she doesn't think that that's a bias. She's presiding over an anti-Trump January 6th trial in Denver to chase President Trump off the ballots, and Democrats are going to get a victory here today. I guarantee you that she is going to disqualify President Trump today before 5 o'clock Denver time. So within the next 5 hours, she will disqualify President Trump from the Colorado ballots, and then Democrats will use that to try to disqualify President Trump in key swing states like Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and many others, because the Democrats know that President Trump is going to beat President Biden like a drum on November 5th, 2024. So if you can't beat him, disqualify him or indict him or imprison him or bankrupt him or gag him. This lawfare, this election interference is republic ending. That is the point of why I'm saying, you know what, Democrats, let's just see what you think about this if it happens to you.
So walk us through then, and that there's a ton there, but I want to focus on what's salient, because this dust up, Mehdi Hasan, that's a guy, he's got no stroke. That's a guy who, hates Christians, who hates white people. He's tried to cancel me. He's tried to cancel you now. He tried to cancel so many people. It never works. But let's go through the actual salient matter of the day, because you just said, and that was loaded, that today, on this day, November 17th, 2023, Anno Domini, Donald J. Trump will be stripped from the privilege of appearing on the ballot for the voters in the 2024 election in the state of Colorado. Is that true?
Correct. That is 100% what's going to happen. I sat in that trial all week where Denver District Court Judge Sarah Wallace, this biased Democrat judge who the Democrat governor named to the courts, last August, starting in January of 2023. And during that time when she's a judge designee, but before she became a judge in October of 2022, she donated to this anti-Trump January 6 PAC to chase Republicans out of office. President Trump's lawyers raised this issue in a motion to recuse. She said, oh, wait, I don't remember making this donation, but even if I did, I can still be fair. Well, that's not the legal standard. That's reversible error. But guess what? The law has never stopped the Democrats in their quest for power. They are going to throw Trump off the ballot here in Colorado. It goes on an expedited appeal to the Colorado Supreme Court because it's an election challenge. The Colorado Supreme Court is stacked with left-wing activists because Republicans stopped winning elections in Colorado after they legalized weed and went to all-mail ballots, and all these dirtballs from New York and California moved here. So the Supreme Court of the United States, which has discretionary review, they don't have to hear this case. We'll have to decide whether we're going to continue to allow these republic-ending tactics. It's not going to sit with the American people that Democrats, attorneys, and Democrat prosecutors, and Democrat judges, and Democrat juries, and Democrat hellholes like New York, D.C., Atlanta, now Denver, get to decide the presidential election instead of the American people.
So walk me through then, because we've talked about this before, but we actually haven't had you on for a minute. So the idea is that even if he gets these adverse rulings, that hopefully it will be able to be overturned either at the federal level or then ultimately at the Supreme Court. What are we talking about timeline-wise? What's the turnaround on something like that?
Well, it's an immediate, because this is done under an election challenge in Colorado, it is immediately appealable to the Supreme Court. It skips the Colorado Court of Appeals. It's immediately appealable to the Colorado Supreme Court on an expedited basis. And I would imagine that they'll have some sort of a ruling by the end of this year, right? Maybe early January. And then the Supreme Court, what I hope happens, what I think will happen, is President Trump will file an emergency petition to the Supreme Court to stay this order pending Supreme Court review. And the Supreme Court, again, has discretionary review. And they don't like to take Trump cases. It's too hard to do your job. And so they're going to have to put on their big boy pants here, right? Because this is so much bigger than President Trump. This is about whether the American people get to decide who our president is, or if Democrat insiders in blue states and swing states get to decide. And that's not acceptable. This is a red line. If you think you can just take the leading presidential candidate off the ballot and take that choice from the American people, this is a republic-ending tactic, like their lawfare, right? Remember what happened with the Roman Empire. It was the Senate insiders who chased Caesar across the Rubicon from Gaul into Rome and caused the fall of the Roman Republic, right? And I'm not saying we're going to have a violent fall of the Republic, but if you have this legal and political lawfare, this election interference, there's going to be a tit for tat between both sides until we no longer have a country.
Mike, that's exactly right. And I think that's something that a lot of people are overlooking when it comes to this. The idea then that when lawfare goes one way, and I've said before that it's not just 2 tiers of justice anymore. It's now 3 tiers, right? So the first tier is that you're sort of normal people. You're speeding, you run a red light or something, talking on your cell phone, DC, you pulled over. Okay, that's normal. That's your normal tier. That's tier 1. Then there's tier 2. This is for anyone who's a Democrat, anyone who's a member of the elite, anyone whose last name is Biden or Clinton or Obama. And we just saw that Biden was completely let off the hook, as you predicted, Mike, for those classified documents that were in his garage, for the handling of those documents. The special counsel will not be filing charges. Well, it didn't take an expert to figure that was going to happen, because we know that Biden falls under this second tier. The third tier, of course, Donald Trump and Donald Trump's supporters. That is the third tier of justice, where anything can be turned into a crime against you to shut you down and shut you up. The American people are going to respond to this. And if people don't view elections as having legitimacy anymore, then I pray for where this country goes next. Coming up next, more with Mike Davis.
Today, they talk about influencers. These are influencers, and they're friends of mine. Jack Posobiec. Where's Jack? Jack, who's done a great job.
All right, folks, we're back here at Human Events Daily, Washington, D.C. Jack Posobiec. Guys, I got to tell you, there's a lot going on in America right now. There's not a lot going on online. There's e-drama. There's geopolitical fallout. There's economic tensions. There's a lot that keeps you up at night. So if you are losing sleep, you've got to find a way to power yourself, to recharge in the morning. And the best way to do that, Blackout Coffee. My friends over at Blackout Coffee are now offering 20% off your first order with promo code POSO20. So if you want to get somebody a great Christmas gift this year, just go to blackoutcoffee.com. Promo code POSO20 gets you that 20% off. You can get a 1-year subscription for the person in your family, for one of your friends, for your coworkers, for your boss, for your employees, whichever it is. Go right over there. 3 bags a month, 4 bags a month. It's up to you. Blackoutcoffee.com, promo code POSO20. Go spend money with people who support our values. Stop giving your money to people who hate us. So Mike Davis is a guy who knows all about people who hate us, because there's a lot of people who hate Mike Davis. So, Mike, when it comes down to it, when you're out there day in, day out, I have to ask this question, because you're the guy. Let's pull back a little bit here for a second, because you're the guy who comes on. You've got all their credentials. You went to all the schools. You've been in all the rooms. You've been in D.C. forever. You know where all the bodies are buried. Why does it make them so upset that you're the one guy who gets up there and just pokes holes in every single one of these ridiculous cases and ridiculous lawfare moves that they make? What is it about you that drives them so completely nuts?
I think it's because I'm so charming and such a nice guy that they just can't handle it, Jack. I mean, what it is that they know that we're very effective at the Article 3 project because we have that insider experience, as you described, but we're not going to play their games. We know how the game works, and we're going to expose them because we've been on the inside. And so when we expose their games, that's why they're so mad, because they know that we're over the target. That's why MSNBC ran a 24-minute hit on me last night. That's why I get constant criticism. And I would say, guess what? I grew up with red hair. I'm used to getting the crap beat out of me. It doesn't bother me. I actually kind of like it. So the more they beat up on me, it's great, because this Article 3 project, you can go on there and donate now. We have raised a ton of small dollar funds that we're going to use to gear up to fight this lawfare because of this 24-minute hit piece on me last night on MSNBC.
24 minutes. I mean, that's a lot of, they used to say don't argue with people who buy ink by the gallon, right? That's back in the newspaper days. That's a lot of airtime. Let me put it this way, though. And if I'm MSNBC and I'm looking at the political landscape, I'm looking out at the world, I'm trying to figure out, and we think that, okay, let's presuppose this here. We know MSNBC has an agenda. We know they have a point of view. We know they have things that they want. They claim they don't. We know they do. They want Trump to fail. They want their side to win. Morning Joe going all in, saying Biden's the greatest president that we've ever had. Look at him. He's 80 years old and he can do all these wonderful things. Who cares if he trips over a sandbag every once in a while? And Mehdi Hasan, by the way, he's a guy who nobody actually takes seriously. And so they use him specifically as one of their attack dogs to go after somebody. He's a hatchet man who goes after people whenever someone is causing them problems, because he doesn't have any credibility to make arguments of his own. So they give those jobs to Mehdi Hasan. I would say assassin, but people would accuse me of racism. So there we go. That being said, Mike, if you're MSNBC and you think there's no possible way for Trump to win the election, why am I spending 24 minutes on Mike Davis? Why am I wasting all this time? Why is The Economist running covers right now that say Donald Trump is the biggest danger in 2024 if they think that they're confidently in the driver's seat? It's my contention that they don't think they are, because they know what's actually coming.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. They're panicking. Their lawfare, their election interference backfired on them. They thought that they were going to take out Trump with this lawfare and election interference. They just turned him into Tupac, right? Now he's unstoppable, and they are desperate, and they are flailing, and they have their loud, dumb, counterproductive people like Mehdi Hassan going out there and attacking me for trolling America about being the acting attorney general. I mean, it shows how desperate they are. They know that they're going to lose. They know that Trump is going to beat Biden like a drum on November 5th, 2024. And guess what? I guarantee you that President Trump's not going to turn the other cheek. He's going to go in there. He's going to fire all the bad people, and he's actually going to make his Justice Department do what it's supposed to do, which is to follow the law. And I guarantee you that all these scumbag Bidens are not going to get off scot-free.
Now, when it comes to these cases, as we look out across the grand swath of it, are there any, and this is the question, I've asked you this before, and you've said yes. I asked Vivek Ramaswamy the question. He said yes as well when he was on. Are there any cases that you can see where you believe they will actually, and this is something that the DeSantis campaign says over and over and over ad infinitum, and I get that that's their assessment, but I just kind of like to get a sense of things. Do you believe that there's any cases, and if so, please walk us through it, where Donald Trump actually could be placed behind bars before either the primary election is finished or the general election gets going?
As a legal matter, that should not happen. These are all four bogus cases against President Trump. Alvin Bragg brought an indictment for the non-crime of a businessman settling a nuisance claim, and somehow Alvin Bragg turned that into felonies, even though the Federal Election Commission, the prior Manhattan DA, the Manhattan U.S. Attorney, and Alvin Bragg himself passed over this. But, he got George Soros's backing, and George Soros must have told him to jump, and Alvin Bragg jumped and indicted a former president for the first time in American history. You have two January 6th cases brought by Obama, this Biden special counsel Jack Smith.
Well, we know they're all ultimately brought by Obama.
They are all Obama. He's the guy behind all this. The Obama D.C. Judge Tanya Shutkin. They're trying to jail President Trump in D.C. along with Fannie Willis out in Fulton County, Georgia, another deranged Democrat prosecutor, for the non-crime of a presidential candidate objecting to the presidential election, which is allowed by the Electoral Count Act of 1887, and twisting arms politically and protesting is allowed by the First Amendment. If it were a crime, Democrats would be in prison for objecting to Republican wins in 68, 2000, 2004, and 2016. And then you have the Mar-a-Lago case, the non-crime of a former president having his presidential records in the office of former president, which is allowed by the Presidential Records Act. That's why Congress gives former presidents federally funded staff, secure office space, and Secret Service protection. These are all non-crimes, but the problem is you have political prosecutors like Jack Smith and Fannie Willis. You have political judges like D.C. Obama Judge Tanya Shutkin and this Arthur Engoron up in New York, who's a total partisan clown with the fraud case brought by Tish James up there for the civil fraud case. So you have partisan judges and partisan prosecutors and partisan Democrat hellholes like New York, D.C., and Atlanta. Of course they're going to find Trump guilty. I don't know if they'll be able to put him in prison because the Secret Service may have a problem with that because the former president gets protection for life, but they are absolutely going to try to jail President Trump. And that's why it's so critically important to end this lawfare that we put President Trump back in the White House after November 5th, 2024.
Mike, if let's devil's advocate. So let's say Trump gets convicted. The Secret Service comes in and says there's no possible safe way that we can put him behind bars. What about house arrest? What about like a Mar-a-Lago house arrest kind of thing? If he's put under house arrest, is he able then to campaign from Mar-a-Lago? And if so, wouldn't that be pretty much exactly the same way that Joe Biden campaigned in 2020?
Are these Democrats trying to turn Trump into Nelson Mandela? Are they this insane that if they try to jail the leading presidential candidate before the November 5th election, he's going to win in a landslide? He's already winning comfortably by a point or two. He will win by a landslide if the Democrats try to imprison him before the presidential election, especially when the American people understand that this is political. That's what the Article 3 project has been so valuable over the last 15, 16 months, is explaining that this is bogus lawfare and election interference. And the American people, by a comfortable margin, like 60% of the American people, see these indictments as political, right? And so this is going to backfire spectacularly on the Democrats. They have really overplayed their hand. They did the same thing during the Kavanaugh confirmation. They couldn't just stick to Christine Blasey Ford, who was lying through her teeth. Her own parents didn't believe her. They brought in, but she was the most credible out of all the bogus allegations. They brought in 5 others, including Julie Swetnick and Mike Lavinati and other clowns, and then it became a joke. And that's what the Democrats have done with this. They couldn't just stick with their strongest case, the Mar-a-Lago case, even though he's allowed to have his presidential records. It's the most credible case. They brought in all these clown cases by Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis and Jack Smith up in D.C. for January 6th because the Democrats can't help themselves.
Mike, where can people go to get more information, to follow you, to follow your debunking of this lawfare, and to get involved with the Article 3 project?
Article3project.org, article number 3project.org. You can donate there, and I appreciate it, Jack.
All right, God bless Mike Davis. You see that, folks? They're going after Mike Davis, not because he said he wants to put kids in cages, or he put together this 5-point piece about becoming the acting attorney general, which, by the way, isn't even really a thing. They're going after him because he comes on Human Events Daily, and he goes on War Room, and he goes on the other shows, and he debunks every single piece of this lawfare. He tells you what's going to happen before it happens. That's why we book him, folks. That's why we book him. I'm not trying to say that I'm a legal expert. I never have been, but you know what I do? I talk to legal experts. I bring them on, and I say, does this make sense? Because I haven't heard about any of these things before. I've never heard of a case like this. None of us have. And by the way, if President Trump does get house arrest, then we're going to be holding rallies down at Mar-a-Lago every time. And when we win, I would say that we're going to put Democrats and their children in cages, but we can't because they already aborted all of them.